We've had a very cold, very rainy winter, and it's time to look at some maintenance work on our decking and on our patios. This is a two-half video, the first half decking, second half patios, and there are a myriad of products we can use for looking after decking and patios. We tend to stick with a couple. The first one is a fungicide wash from Everbuild. It's the 404 fungicidal wash. And we're going to demonstrate how to use that on your decking to get rid of all this horrible green lichen and mould and stuff that occurs over the winter and makes it very, very slippy, very dangerous. And obviously, you know, every now and again it could do with a spruce up and a clean before we put some oil on it, which will be a separate video. So having said, we're going to use the fungicidal wash from Everbuild. There's a couple of ways of applying it. You can tip it straight into a bucket, and wearing gloves, etc., you can simply scrub it onto the surface, dip your brush in and scrub it. We tend to use the second method, which is to use a low pressure spray, a garden spray, and just spray the area we want to work on so that we know it's covered in the fungicidal wash. And then, having sprayed that, we leave that for about 20 minutes to do its work, to soak into the pores. This is why we use a low pressure spray, so that it sits on the surface and just sprays it, soaks in. With a high pressure spray, applying this through the detergent channel of a pressure washer can push the stuff out of the way. So let it sit on the surface, let it soak in. You can do that with a brush, as I've said. We prefer to use a low pressure spray just to let it sit on the surface for a little while. Do the area that you can manage. Leave that for a bit, and we're going to leave that for about 20 minutes now while we let it soak in, and then we'll fade back in and show you exactly what we do after that. The fungicidal wash is soaked right into the timber now, and now the next step is to get a scrubbing brush, or if you don't want to spend the morning on your hands and knees, get a really stiff brush, fill a bucket with water, and it really then is a simple job to scrub the surface to get the detergent off. And you can see that by using the fungicidal wash, that's really lifting the green mould and lichen straight out of the board. Plenty of water. Scrub that nicely. It's not the best job in the world. Make sure you have got your old clothes on, and certainly wear a mask, because it will splash up into your eyes. Wear glasses rather. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, please do. Obviously, when I'm demonstrating on videos, I tend not to wear a mask as often as perhaps I should. But then, of course, if I were, you wouldn't be able to hear me. So make sure you get into the grooves of the decking, and just to demonstrate, you don't need to do it with a scrubbing brush. You can use a stiff broom in exactly the same way. You do have to put your back into it. Do it long ways so that you get into the grooves, and we've only done a small area to show you this video, but of course once that's all out, you can then turn to your power washer. In this case it's a Karcher K2 Compact. You can see a separate product review, a separate video on the Karcher K2. Fantastic little power washer for its size. Make sure we've got it turned on, but before you connect the electricity, connect the water so the motor's not allowed to run dry, and then now that's the area we sprayed. And to demonstrate, a lot of you have emailed us and said, oh, you don't need the detergent, you can just use the power washer to lift the green off. Well, let's use an area that we didn't spray and go to here. the cameraman to do a close-up of this board that I've just done without the fungicidal wash, and then move over to those that I have. And yes, it does get it a bit cleaner, but certainly not as clean, and certainly without 20 minutes of the fungicidal wash soaking into the timber, it's very likely to grow back very, very quickly indeed. A bit of rain and a bit of sunshine and that will be as green as ever within 3 or 4 weeks. And we don't want to be doing this too regularly. So use the fungicidal wash, scrub it in, use a power washer to clean it after you've scrubbed it with cold water, and you will have a perfect patio that will last you the whole summer. We're looking at the second part of the video, and this is how to maintain your patio slabs, or indeed block paving, whatever. And while this patio could also do with being treated with the fungicide that you saw in the first section, we're going to go straight on to treating it with the Everbuild 401. It's a high strength brick and patio cleaner. There are any number of brick and patio cleaners on the market, all acid based. You will have to be careful of all of them. The Everbuild one is one of the best as far as we're concerned, and with the fungicide product that you saw earlier and this product, there's pretty much nothing that we can't do and maintain throughout the year. The application of this is simple. The first thing that we do is we go along with our Fiskars patio rake or patio cleaning hook, and you'll see as I'm speaking, you'll see a little overlay of this being used, and we clean out the joints thoroughly with this. And once they're done, we simply blast them out of the way with some water, because the patio slabs, when we're using our brick cleaner, the patio slabs need to be wet before it's fully operational, before it works to its maximum strength. So I'm going to pop my glasses on. This is acid, be very careful. I should be wearing a face mask, but if I do you won't be able to hear me. And then we're going to tip, as we all have already done, some brick and patio cleaner into a plastic bucket. Don't use a metal bucket. There's a reaction with the metal, and it says so on the instructions. Use a plastic bucket, and you can either use a scrubbing brush dipped in the acid and then simply scrub away. Okay, and you can already see that the acid is starting to bite in to the dirt and the bird droppings and the mortar drops that are on the slab. Give it a good scrub. Now, if you find it difficult to spend a lot of time on your hands and knees, you can indeed use a yard brush, a stiff yard brush. So we'll move that one out of the way. Dip that into the acid, and you can do the same thing using a yard brush. And you can already see that that acid is starting to lift out the colour of the slab. Now, of course, you can get a lot more pressure with a hand brush, but it is harder work, and you do have to kneel down to do it. So I'm going to carry on with that for a moment, and then when we've scrubbed it all in, we're going to leave that for about 20 minutes to let the acid do its work. And then we're going to give it a blast with a power washer. In this case, a Cartrick A2 compact washer. Excellent little washer. You can see a separate video on that. But I'm going to give this a good scrub, and then we'll leave it for 20 minutes and come back and see how we've done. You may find that if your slabs are particularly dirty and they haven't been maintained for some time, that you're going to need 2 applications of the Everbuild brick and patio cleaner. But as you can see, just with 1 application, that's come up pretty well. We don't want to get it absolutely brand spanking new, and the more time we spend with the power washer, the more chance we've got of blowing the face off. Some people just clean patios just with the pressure washer alone, but sometimes, especially with the small round jet that you get with the Karcher, a much more high pressure jet, you are in danger of blowing the surface off the face of the stone, which the acid doesn't do. So the acid will just attack the dirt and the mortar splashes or whatever that's in the slab. So it's a great idea to use the acid in conjunction with the power washer. I'm going to switch attachments now and use the patio brush for cleaning this, and you'll see that being used. And then when I've finished, we'll have done 1 slab. We've obviously got to go on and do the rest of the patio now that we've started, but this gives you a great idea of what the Everbuild products, both of them, the deck cleaner, the fungicidal wash and the brick and patio cleaner, can do. And we would recommend that those 2 are all really you need in your home to maintain your patio and your decking. So we hope you've enjoyed the video, we hope it's been informative, and I hope we look forward to your comments. If you click on any of the blue boxes that come up throughout this video, you can click and go through to our tool store and buy the products that you can see, even the Karcher washer, and have a great summer.